Content-based Physical and Health Education 2, that's for the subject DPPE and DJPE, PHE21. I'm the presenter, Mrs. Ansie Stein, and my Hotmail address is ansiestein@hotmail.com. Good day. This contact class is to help you prepare for the examinations of the subject DPPE and DJPE, PHE21. I will discuss some of the content of your study guide in order to help you prepare for the coming exams. By now, you should have a good idea what the subject is about because you've completed an assignment and studied the study guide systematically. Please note that I cannot give attention to the whole content, so should you have any questions, please contact me for help. You can either phone me or mail me, and in the latter case, I can send you a well-constructed, detailed answer to your question. Please also note that you only need to study your study guide for these exams. This includes the assignment you completed. Before you study the actual content, you first need to acquaint yourself with the learning outcomes of each unit. These learning outcomes form the core of your studies and guide you through the content and can be found at the beginning of each unit. After you've studied this, you will know what the unit is all about. So you start studying with the learning outcomes. Thereafter, you must look at the learning activities which follow the learning outcomes. It will be wise to do all these activities to the best of your ability before looking at the answers at the end of each unit. After you've completed them, you can go back to the answers at the end of the unit and measure your knowledge against the complete answers. In this way, you will get to know the content and you will also know how questions can be asked in the exams. The study guide contains adequate information and facts. It is not necessary to study from any other source for the exams. Do not leave out any unit when preparing for the exams. I'm going to discuss the units separately and stress the most important facts. Please note that this presentation is not a discussion of the exam paper, but to help you with the most important content of this subject. Please make sure to take note of these and get to know the facts by heart. Remember that when answering a question, facts from different parts of the study guide can be applicable. It is not necessarily limited to one part of the study guide. It is important to note that although physical and health education may seem as a non-exam subject for learners and a period where learners are encouraged to explore in a less formal environment, you as teacher should exactly know how to keep them busy and how and why certain activities should be presented. Therefore, the teacher should know certain facts about the subject PHE, as well as the correct procedures regarding the presenting of physical and health education. It is therefore of utmost importance that you as student teacher should know facts regarding the subject PHE. I stress this because some students are of the opinion that this subject does not need to be studied for, and then they do poorly in the exams. Take time to know your study guide in order to present adequate facts during the exams. Now, just a few hints before I discuss the units, just a few hints for the examinations. Write neatly and legibly. You may use blue or black pen. Please do not even consider being dishonest. If found out, you will receive a 0 for the question paper. You may not leave the exam room before 30 minutes have expired, and if you do leave, you may not come back to continue answering the question paper. Also, you may not leave the exam venue during the last 15 minutes of the exams. Remember to sign the checklist. No smoking or eating is allowed in the room. Only paper provided by the invigilator will be accepted. So if you need more paper to answer questions, ask them to provide you with paper. This is very important. If you turn up 30 minutes after the exams have started, you will not be allowed to write, and this will result in no turn up. And make sure to know what is expected of you when a question is asked. Read through the verbs thinking processes, or then action verbs, in 6 at the beginning of the study guide. For example, define means you have to give the precise, brief meaning of something, and describe means you have to give detailed features of an issue. Please note that short answer questions will be asked, and the following kind of question will be asked. Now, you'll have 2 columns, column A and column B. Below column A, there will be certain points. In this case, in my example, it's 1, analyze, 2, calculate, 3, estimate. And then in the opposite column, there will be answers. So in A, to provide a reasoned projection. B, examine information in detail. C, a numerical answer from given features. Now, you have to think, what does analyze mean? What does calculate mean? What does estimate mean? And the possible answers are in the opposite column. Look at them. Do you know the answers? Let's look. Analyze means to examine information in detail. I'm going back. So analyze belongs to B. Then the other answers will be to C. So calculate means a numerical answer from given features. And estimate means to provide a reasoned projection. So your answers will therefore be 1B, 2C, and 3A. You will notice that the chances are slim that you can guess the correct answers. You therefore have to know the content of the study guide in order to choose the correct answers. Let's go to the unit specifically. Unit 1. This unit is about the aspects of the physiology of exercise and basic health. Where the study field of physiology, the meanings of fitness terminology, and physical education principles are discussed, amongst other topics. In 1.6, the current international health problems in young people are set out, like tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS, and cardiovascular diseases. And those are only a few. Study all of them to know what diseases can affect the learners in your class. As I mentioned before, the learning outcomes and activities play a huge role in your study plan. If you can answer the learning outcomes in detail, you know the content of that unit. After you've read through each unit, answer the learning activity questions on your own and look up the correct answers at the end of each unit to monitor whether you know the content of the specific unit. Remember that physical education is an important subject at school, and you should know facts in order to present it successfully. So facts are asked in the exams, not just an overview. So one of the learning outcomes of Unit 1, for example, is to discuss the value of jogging and walking. Can you answer this? See 1.11 for the complete answer. Another learning outcome is to be able to explain how teamwork of a sports team or group of people can be developed by a coach. To find the answer, turn to 1.10 in your study guide. In short, cooperation, socializing, accountability, and sportsmanship can be given attention to, and that would contribute to good sportsmanship. It is the task of a coach to develop these. To know what these important fields entail, study 1.10. So when we turn to Unit 2, the aspects of movement theory and games for different phases of learners are discussed. So this unit is mainly about games. That's for pairs, for small groups, and for larger groups. And the different kinds of games that can be played during a physical education class. But a physical education teacher should also know what the categories of movement skills are. There are 3, namely locomotion, manipulation, and stability. In 2.1, these 3 concepts are explained in detail. Study to know them, but also what each one of them entail. There are 6 phases of motor development. I'm just shortly going to name them and discuss some of these phases. One of them is reflexive movement phase. When a child is born, certain reflexes occur for a baby to survive. One of them is the sucking reflex, which is necessary when drinking milk. The second phase is the rudimentary movement phase. These movements are the first voluntary, that's not reflexive movements, and they are found with babies between the age of 0 to 2 years. Then there's the fundamental movement patterns, where children gain control over their gross and fine motor skills. Babies don't have them. For example, when walking and running, and that is about from 2 to 7 years of age. The last phase I'm going to look at is the specialized movement phase, where specific movement skills are developed. In 2.3, these phases are named and discussed. Make sure to know them. Many kinds of games and traditional Namibian games are discussed in detail in Unit 2. A good, effective physical education teacher should know them and how they are executed in order to present effective PE classes. In Unit 3, which is a very interesting unit in the way that good playground features are discussed in detail. Do you know what the features of a good pre-primary playground are, as set out in 3.2? A playground must have shade and shelter, a water play area, a sand play area, a garden, and grass should be present when a good, effective playground is designed. These features and some more, as discussed in 3.2, are not just by accident there. They are planned to favor and develop the learners to the maximum. Here again, you will notice that facts should be known and that effective and meaningful education only takes place when attention are given to these facts. Even the equipment placed on a playground are designed to be of the maximum development of the children. Big play equipment like slides, trampolines, tunnels, and horizontal bars are there for the development of their big muscles. Coordination, balance skills, and they even stimulate them physically, emotionally, and socially. But to get the full picture regarding the importance of these equipment, study 3.3 in detail. So when we turn to Unit 4, features of supervision of learners on the playground are discussed. Safety is of vital importance on a playground, and equipment should be placed so as to minimize the possibility of accidents. In 4.1, this issue is discussed in detail, and also how supervision of a teacher should take place and the role such a teacher must play in order to ensure a safe playground for children are set out. Study these important facts in detail. How to manage group activities, games, and competitions are discussed in 4.2. Clear outcomes, rules, and supervision are very important when playing games. Now, some children are hesitant to partake in games because they do not want to be in a competitive environment. So a creative physical education teacher can adapt and find alternatives to competition, like the choice of games, which can be adapted, alternative scoring systems, which encourage cooperation rather than competition, and learner-designed activities, designing their own games. Study these three alternatives and also what each one entail in order to be a creative, effective physical education teacher, as seen in 4.2. Unit 5 is about suitable indoor and outdoor play areas. First of all, you need to acquaint yourself with the different categories of play, 5.1. And then you need to study the criteria for indoor as well as outdoor areas, as set out in 5.2 and 5.3. In 5.4, the different indoor play areas a pre-primary class should have to enhance play are named. That's indoor play areas in the classroom, like a book corner, a drawing area, a painting area, a puzzle area, a fantasy play area, amongst others. See 5.4 for all these areas. These areas are set up within a class and therefore are called indoor play areas. Indoor activities are then the games and activities primary but also pre-primary learners can play and do within a class, like Lego playing, chess playing, reading books, listening to music, and doing craft. You'll see that those are indoor activities. Indoor, because games like soccer and netball should be played outdoors. Indoor activities are the less physically active activities, while outdoors usually are the active games. Unit 6 is about the training issues for primary athletes and management of sports events. This is a very practical unit where exercises to be done with athletes are discussed. Did you know that exercises beneficial for short distance runners differ from exercises you will do for long jumpers, for instance? See 6.3 and 6.4 for details. Certain techniques should be taught to athletes. To know how to do these effectively, study all the techniques in 6.5 in detail. While we are discussing how techniques should be taught to athletes by a coach, do you know the qualities of a good coach? See 6.9 in the study guide for a complete picture of how a good coach should be and behave. As mentioned previously, this is a very practical unit, and the planning, organizing, and executing of a school athletics or sports event is an event you as physical education teacher will be confronted with when teaching at your school. Do you know all the aspects which should be given attention to when asked to plan such an event? Have you thought about what will be the correct venue, to set a date which will be suitable for this event? What about the financial planning, the drawing up of an effective program where items do not clash and enough time is given to complete them? What about the officials, the item entries, first aid? Yes, to plan and execute such an event, skill and knowledge are very important. Many times the physical education teacher at a school will have to take responsibility for this, and to prepare you for such a big responsibility, study 6.10 in detail. Planning is a vital part of successful event, and many different aspects should be covered, but you should know them all. So make sure to know these aspects as set out in 6.10. A last reminder to look at the learning outcomes of each unit. Now, this concludes my discussion of the study guide. Please note that time does not allow me to discuss the whole content of the guide, but many important facts were discussed during this class. Make sure to give attention to them. By now, we have worked through the study guide and highlighted the most important content. Start studying by working through the study guide systematically and doing it unit by unit, giving special attention to the content of this contact class. Good luck with this. Start early and study every day. Even if it's only half an hour of constructive study per day, it will help you getting acquainted with the work. I invite you to contact me should you have any questions or uncertainties regarding your subject. My cell phone number is 081 277 5321. You may contact me during the day up to 8 o'clock in the evening, with the exception of Sundays. Most students are considerate in this regard, and I really appreciate this. Enjoy your studies and do your best.